Bitcoin is showing some weakness, guys. Is it time to sell your crypto right now before we are going to see a massive dump? That will be the topic of today's video. I'm going to share with you also whether I'm personally selling any crypto right now due to the weakness that we are seeing in the charts. So guys, let's jump straight into it. But first, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up down below. That's highly appreciated. And if you are interested in trading Bitcoin or crypto on a decentralized exchange, make sure to check out Apex Omnit. It is a decentralized exchange built by Bybit. And if you use the affiliate link down below in the description, you can get a lifetime discount on your fees, which will, of course, save a bunch if you use the exchange for a while. So if you're interested in that, check that out. Now let's jump into the charts. Guys, it is not looking good with Bitcoin and crypto in general. Am I joking? No, sadly, I'm not joking. It's actually, there is just some weakness in the charts, but I will give you some positive news as well. And I first just going to tell you which charts we're going to look at. We're going to have a look at Bitcoin, of course, stablecoin dominance. We're going to have a look at the Altcoin chart. We're going to have a look at Ethereum, and I'm going to have a look with you at Litecoin, which I think in all these charts combined tell us a pretty nice picture actually, and a good risk assessment that we can make. So let's just start off with the bad news, okay? Bitcoin made a nice bounce yesterday, but so far the bounce completely retraced. We went to roughly, what was it, 113, almost 114,000. But the price came down again. So this shows weakness, and this is definitely a warning sign. But I also got to tell you guys, we are definitely at a crossroad right now. And the crossroads is visible on the Bitcoin chart because we have this uptrending support, the white lines, as you can see. This is already showing us that we are at somewhat of a turning point. We're either going to make it, we're going to back up, or we are going to break this level and we are going to finish this bull market. So the worries and fear that is present in the markets right now is very understandable, and I believe it's very real. It's very real to believe that Bitcoin might have topped this bull cycle based on time with the 4-year cycle and based on the weakness that we are seeing right now. Simple as that, that's the case. But there is, of course, a but. If you are, let's say you are positioned 100% in crypto and you are really dependent on that money and you are also positioned in Bitcoin, I would say it definitely would make sense at such a crossroad to take some chips off the table just for your personal situation. It really depends, of course, for every single person individually. But if, like I said, if for example, if Bitcoin would break down and altcoins would even bleed further, and that would like change your lifestyle and change the way how you live, then this might be a moment that you think, okay, I'm going to take some chips off the table. I might lose a little bit in terms of selling with a loss, or if crypto is going to rally, that you not get full exposure to this rally, at least you protect your capital, because that's in the end what's most important, I personally believe. Am I personally selling? This is, of course, a very important question to ask as well. General sense, guys, I'm not selling. I'm going to explain you exactly why. However, I did sold maybe like a very small fraction of my portfolio, a very small fraction, almost not really significant at all, just to have some little cash on the side if we dump, because I think time is on our side, which means is that if you just keep positioned, time eventually will bring you in profit. So it's also how much run base do you have as a person, right? Can you live like 6 months from paycheck to paycheck, or 1 year from paycheck? You gotta ask yourself these questions. And guys, I maybe go all over the place. I'm just speaking my thoughts right here. I hope you can appreciate it. And I'm being completely honest with you guys, right? And I also want every single one of you to do good. That's why I make this video as well. So try again, as always, to read a little bit through the lines, through the fingers. This is not financial advice, but this is just basically my interpretation of what's happening in the markets. So right now, at this specific moment in time, looking at the charts, it looks weak, okay? But there is a crossroad that we are right now because we are at a massive support level for Bitcoin. And if we go to the stablecoin dominance, we can see that we are at a massive resistance. Right, so this is going to be a make or break point. If the stablecoin dominance can break through this resistance as we did in the past, we can see most of the time big rallies in the stablecoin dominance, which would coincide with Bitcoin going lower. This is US dollar Tether dominance. We also have, of course, US dollar Tether and USDC. There we actually already broke to the middle barrier. This chart is looking slightly different. We are at also some resistance levels, and maybe we are going to the top of this kind of like falling wedge formation, as you can see right here, and then top there, which definitely would mean lower prices for crypto and Bitcoin in general. Okay, now let's go to some different charts, and this is for me personally a more bullish chart, and I want to remind you to the fact, guys, that these markets are moving in cycles, and every correction, also in 2017 and 2021, these were not easy moments in time, just like we are right now, not in an easy moment in time, because it's very confusing, right? We get a lot of different signals, a lot of fears in the markets, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of doubt, and I believe that's actually a positive thing, because when there is this fear, uncertainty, and doubt, it belongs to this part of the cycle, right? We are in the last quarter of the last year of a bull market, normally the most bullish part of the cycle, and everyone is feeling fearful. A lot of people are taking profits. A lot of people are probably leaving crypto. They are sick of it. And that's exactly kind of the environment that we need in order to get higher. So what we are seeing right here, this is a total free, so that's altcoins minus Bitcoin and Ethereum divided by Bitcoin, right? And what you can see right here is that we move from support to resistance to support to resistance to support. Recently, with the big flash crash, we touched the support again. Maybe we are coming back to that support again, which would mean that we are visiting the lower levels of that flash crash again. Maybe doing somewhat of a bullish divergence. I personally think, guys, and this is visible in many different crypto charts, I personally think we do not go lower than that, right? So, and this is where I touch the heart of the problem right here, is that sometimes, and this is with investing very difficult, you gotta imagine the future. Right, you got to imagine something that is not in the present, and that's the difficult part, because in the present you are prone to these emotional states of the markets, right? So it's difficult to imagine right now a market where everything is going up and making crazy pumps. We did that in the past, right? But this chart shows us that it is coming and that we are closer to these pumps than to a long-term bear market, because we have already, from a cyclical point of view, seen the bear market for the altcoins. So when I see this chart, guys, I'm extremely bullish, but I also gonna be a little bit conservative in the sense, in the shorter term time frame, we might touch this level again, which would mean we come to the lows that we have seen on altcoins against Bitcoin. Right, and some altcoins do better than others. So, for example, Litecoin is one of the altcoins that does better than other altcoins. I believe some altcoins have a good setup, and I want to share that as well. But generally, guys, I think this chart will go something like this, but maybe it does something like this, but the outcome eventually is the same. It's your time management. Do you have the time, right? Can you wait? Can you sit through storms? I think this is going to happen, right? There's no guarantee of this. Any of this is going to happen. I think this is going to happen. When we have a look at Ethereum, guys, Ethereum I think is very interesting because it has made a big rally against Bitcoin. So there is strength flowing from Bitcoin to Ethereum. That is something we have not seen since, here was the last time, 2022, but actually real strength that we are seeing right now last time was actually in 2019. Like the previous bull market, basically. So this is actually a good sign that Ethereum made this rally against Bitcoin, because that shows us that there is already slightly visible a shift happening. And right now Ethereum is having a correction against Bitcoin, or the relative strength index is coming way lower. I see this as a positive sign. Also, guys, Litecoin against Bitcoin. Personally, I just really like this chart because this is a very macro structure. Resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance, support. I believe we are going back to the resistance, and this is exactly the same thing, guys, what I shared with you when XRP. Let's have a look at XRP. This was kind of like the best trade we did in 2024. Really the best trade ever. So what we've seen with XRP, and this is exactly what I said back then when XRP was at these levels. I said XRP is at the support right now. Normally it takes off from the support. It is a macro support. I also said, and this was I think even before these prophecies and narratives actually came out about XRP, but that this chart most likely will bounce, and I don't really know what the story is going to be when that chart is going to bounce, right? I don't know, but the chart shows that it's going to bounce. So if you ignore everything, right? If you ignore all the news, if you ignore the negativity, if you ignore everything, but purely look at this chart when XRP was, and maybe I can even do a replay for you guys to get a better understanding of what I actually mean, but most of you probably know what I mean. So, wait, how do you do this? Replay. Okay. So, when we have a look at XRP right here in this chart, right, everyone is bearish on XRP right here. It is at very low levels. XRP is dead, but it is at a macro support in terms of the valuation against Bitcoin. Right after such a long bleed, I don't know how this is going to manifest. I don't know what the story is going to be, ETF, prophecies, or anything. This chart just tells me it is a very unique buying opportunity, especially if you would apply, for example, some risk management. So you enter right here, you have your stop loss maybe right here, or maybe once it creates a low below this level and then breaks below this low, then you would have a loss of your portfolio of 30%. So you are risking 30%, which is a decent amount that you are risking, right? But if you look at the potential upside was 1600%, but we actually went to 200 to 300% against Bitcoin. So XRP went from 40 cents all the way up to $3 something. So that is almost a 10x. But it goes up against Bitcoin 200 to 300%, right? So this was a phenomenal entry that we have done right here on the channel back in 2024. Back in 2024. So this is what I'm also seeing with Litecoin. Litecoin has a phenomenal entry right now. If you look at Litecoin against Bitcoin, it just looks it's still holding, right? It's still holding. I think this is looking very good on a weekly time frame, on a daily time frame as well. I think this eventually will go up, and how that is going to manifest, I don't know. The sentiment changes super quickly in crypto. Suddenly an ETF is being proved. Suddenly the tariffs go up and down. We don't know, right? We don't know. But what I've learned is that you shouldn't be too much focused on all these news, because it will put you either in a state of fear or state of euphoria, which you both don't want to be. You want to be always in a neutral state. And if I'm in a neutral state right now, like if you would ask me 1 year ago, right, you would show me this chart and you would say like, okay, this chart, October 2025, do you think this is a good chart? Do you think this is a good opportunity? I would say on any chart, if this were to be gold, if this were to be a certain stock, if this were to be like any other thing, like now coincidentally is Litecoin, but if it would be any other chart, if I wouldn't know the ticker of this chart, I would still say, whoa, this is a pretty good buying opportunity. So why does a altcoin show a macro buying opportunity when we've entered the bear market? So this is something that is bothering my mind a little bit. I think that this eventually will resolve to the upside, and how that is going to manifest, I don't know, similar as we didn't know that with XRP. But I think it is going to happen. And whether that happens in November, maybe in December, maybe in January, but this, I believe, is the higher likelihood. And if this thing breaks down, we risk yeah, you can risk quite a lot on these trades, right? So that's why I say but the reward is also pretty high, right? The reward is like a 300% gain against Bitcoin. So guys, that's what I'm saying. Everyone needs to make their own personal decision about the markets, right? I think there are very much reasons to believe that this stablecoin dominance is going to pump higher, so that Bitcoin will go lower and that altcoins will still maybe even visit the flash crash lows, right? This is definitely a possibility. But from a bigger perspective, right, we have the supports here, we have the resistance right here. When was the last time we pumped right here? Look, the last time we pumped, the last alt season in 2021 started in November, December. That's the same time frame we are right now. And the altcoin before, alt season before, also November, December, it's the same time frame right now. So right now we are at the support. And 2 times in history, we have seen altcoins taking off around this time, maybe take a 1 or 2 months, margin. But this thing, I think, is going to go up. And how that is going to manifest, I don't know. Whether Trump makes some tweets, whether something is changing, whether ETFs are going to be approved, I really don't know. But from a rhythmical point of view and time-based of view, it goes up, down, and I think this is going to go up because the chances that a macro market structure change is very low. The chances that the macro market structure stays the same is high, and I'm betting on that. And I think that the uncertainty, fear, and doubt that is right now present in the markets, I gotta be honest, is really valid. It's definitely valid, but I believe that that's also part of this period. I think this period also, I remember this period. I was luckily enough that I was a Bitcoin maxi in the previous bull market because I was just holding Bitcoin almost until the end, and Bitcoin outperformed everything. But I had friends who were in altcoins and they were really like smashing the computers because altcoins were doing nothing. So they were not profiting from the bull market at all, right? So that was this point in time where they really felt defeated, and then suddenly it turned around in just a matter of 1 or 2 months. Bam, it's this crazy explosion of liquidity in altcoins. So I think we are going to see something again like this. And whether this one goes like this, or whether it goes like something like this, or whether, eventually it will go up in the next coming months. At least statistically point of view, I think the chances are high. And that's why I'm betting on that. And that's why I'm staying mostly positioned, because I know the time will be difficult. It's never easy to begin with. Investing is not easy. And sometimes you got to take a stance and you got to stick to it just based on a couple of charts, right? And if I'm wrong, then I'm going to definitely lose quite some money. But that's why I said that I took a very small percentage of my portfolio out just to have some money around, right? Just to survive, basically, right? Anyway, I have my life structured in a certain way that I have minimum monthly expenses, that I can invest a lot of things back in businesses and projects that I'm doing, and that's the way I like to live. So if you, for example, have a lifestyle that is a very luxurious lifestyle and you need a lot of money for that and you want to maintain that lifestyle, you clearly want to make different decisions than what I do. I think that I generally, in my whole life, I'm taking quite a lot of risk always, and it actually has worked out pretty good for me, and I'm willing to take that risky behavior again, because I also know with setting up businesses and everything, there is no reward if you don't take risk. And if you want to really go for the big capital, you always have to be in these situations of risk, and it is on you how you can handle these situations. How is it affecting your mental health? How is it affecting your emotional health? And these are all things you want to consider when you are investing or trading, right? If you are very emotional and you cannot handle these swings, it's much more important for you to lower your exposure, to lower your risk, to at least have a good state of mind, right? With me, I'm so used to these swings that even with the last flash crash, I knew I stay awake till 3 o'clock in the night because I was following everything what was happening, but I was not once really worried or like it couldn't bother me that much, even though I see much money just going away. The thing is, what I know is also that you are being supported anyway, right? So you just have to make the decisions in life that you think are important, that are fitting your lifestyle, that are fitting your perspective on life, that are fitting your risk profile. That's also why it's always, no one can really give you financial advice because everyone is a different person. It's the same with health. Everyone needs their own diet. This one likes that food, this one likes that food. So that's the same with investing. It's a very personal thing to invest. But like I said, the negative message or the bearish message of this video is, yes, there is a risk, but the positive message is there is always a risk. The last bull market, what do you think? That people didn't freak out when this happened with altcoins? People were freaking out. They were smashing themselves for the face that they were not invested in Bitcoin. Right? Was Bitcoin, and maybe probably this comes maybe even back to the lows. I don't know. Nobody knows. But from a macro structure, we are closer to support than to resistance. And you generally want to take profits somewhere right here rather than go out right here. But again, that depends on your personal style. As some people like to do leverage trading, for example, you have like a spot bag, you keep that spot, and then you do leverage trading, kind of like hedge trading. So whenever you think the price is going to dump, you use a leverage exchange like Apex Omni or Bybit to short the market. So when then the market goes down, you gain money on that leverage trade with that short, which balances out your spot portfolio, which is going down in US dollar valuation. That's a strategy that you can apply, but that's of course for most people if you know what you're doing. But in that case, you don't have to flip all the time with your spot holdings to the exchange, sell everything or like buy everything, like get it off the exchange again. You can take a fraction of your money, put it in US dollar Tether and use that on leverage exchanges to hedge. But that is definitely already some professional type of trading, which you want to be very careful with. But if you are interested in that, guys, like I said earlier in this video, Apex Omni is definitely, in my opinion, the best decentralized exchange out there. It's a decentralized exchange built and backed by Bybit. They're already a long-time partner of the channel, and they give a discount, which is pretty decent, guys. You get a 5% discount on your futures fees and 15% discount on your spot fees if you sign up with the affiliate link down below. These discounts are for lifetime. So if you are trading regularly, it can save you quite some money. And of course, you are supporting the channel with that as well. Guys, that was my honest opinion on the crypto markets right now. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Let me know if you are selling or whether you are buying right now, whether you just have like, okay, I'm going to sit this storm out, or let me know what you think is going to be the narrative for this potential pump. I'm very curious about the opinion of all of you guys. So let me know down below. Drop a thumbs up. If you are new, subscribe, of course. And guys, wish you a beautiful day, and I hope to see every single one of you in the next video. Bye bye.